I think it did a fabulous job for the newer generation.
Karthik keeps a good watch in advertising, specifically with starlets in a waterfall.
He just threw something random at me just to fool me.
All right, that was a fantastic round one that we had. Moving on to round two. This is ad archives, a little bit more vintage, a little bit more old ads, hopefully bringing up some feelings of nostalgia. All right, this is a question to Lloyd. Which ad campaign was born as a result of all these people? So Piyush Pandey, Shankar Madhavan, Gary Lawyer, Louis Banks, and this photograph of Abbas Ali Beg on the field.
The Cadbury Dairy Milk ad. So this is the Cadbury Dairy Milk ad.
Yes.
कुछ बात है जिंदगी में.
Cadbury's Dairy Milk, असली स्वाद जिंदगी का.
Absolutely right. 10 points to Lloyd once again, who's doing extremely well on this one. Could you explain the relevance of the visual of this cricketer as well?
Yeah, I think when Abbas Ali Beg either scored a century or had a big innings,
Yes.
I think someone from the crowd, kind of reached the field and planted a kiss, which obviously was big news at that time. So deep down, I think that idea resonated, and therefore that made Ogilvy and Piyush write the ad. And I think the music composer, would have been, between Gary Lawyer, Louis Banks, and Shankar Madhavan, is
Yes.
my sense, and therefore
Absolutely.
that lovely jingle that went. And the lady concerned, who also I think became a bit of a star, was a lady called Shimona. The ad was recently done with the roles reversal, when the Sardar boyfriend comes and celebrates his girl, hitting a big six.
That's absolutely right. 10 full points to Lloyd for those fantastic answers. So the Cadbury's ad Kuch Khas Hai was actually inspired partly by the fact that a lady ran onto the field and kissed Abbas Ali Beg after he saved a match against Australia. I think it was in New Delhi. And that incident inspired Ogilvy to write this great script, which was written by Piyush Pandey. What was interesting was that the original song of Kuch Khas Hai was actually written in English. The first ad was in English, which was sung by Gary Lawyer, and then they said, hey, to make this work across India, it should be in Hindi. So they rewrote the entire song again in Hindi as well. And like you rightly said, they recently had a gender swap ad version of the same. Karthik, would you like to share any, Karthik and Sanket, both, would you like to share any fun facts about that?
Nothing fun about it. It's just that it was just staring right in our faces that they should do a gender swap because of how women's cricket is catching up recently. And
Yes.
when you see the ad, it looks so Captain Obvious level, saying, why didn't anybody think of it? But hats off to Ogilvy that they actually thought of it, and they did a phenomenal job with the new version also. It was really well done.
Better late than never, as they say. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Could I butt in with one?
Please, please.
Sanket, that's possible. Yeah, I think an interesting trivia for everyone on this. Besides Abbas Ali Beg being pecked on his cheek, and I presume that was the late 60s, another famous cricketer got kissed on the field in the late 70s. Who was it?
Sunil Gavaskar.
Wrong.
No. Oh.
Oh, no.
He got,
Brijesh Patel, who's also now the president of
lovely.
the KSCA. Brijesh Patel. So look it up. But I remember that was quite sensational. And Brijesh Patel, I think, hit a six or something. And I think in Chinnaswamy Stadium, somebody went up and planted a kiss on his cheek.
Wow. So multiple cricketers got kissed on the field.
those were the days.
Those were the days.
These days you'd probably get an empty bottle hit. Sadly so.
Okay, no, at the end of the day, it wasn't trying to sell a product per se. I mean, like,
It was-
though we know,
To actually
yeah, though
selling
we
a
know
feeling.
what it was like. Correct. Yeah, I think, and I think what it tried to do, it achieved it two ways, right? Like, one for us, where we had consumed the first version of the ad, so for us it was just nostalgia. But I think
newer
just
generation.
in terms of like establishing gender roles, I think it did a fabulous job for the newer generation. Yeah.
True.
Absolutely.
For it. Yeah.
It was trying to normalize women in cricket in the way easiest, most commercial way possible.
No, but then Sanket, then for you, the next question is, how would it, when do you think a similar gender occurrence like this on a cricket field in an ad will work?
I mean, right now you end up seeing a lot, right? Like even with Puma doing a lot with Harmanpreet, And even with their ad campaigns like Proper Girl and all, where they're trying to show more women in sports. Even I think Under Armour has done a great job showing the Indian ice hockey team.
Oh, really?
Fantastic. Yeah, directed by
it was very nice
creative
video.
director Vishal Sagar. Yeah. So very nicely done. I think the next few years, I think we'll be seeing a lot of newer stuff in the sports segment.
Fabulous. No, that's very, very hard. Fabulous.
Fantastic.
Yeah, however, interestingly or ironically, there was a recent Hyundai campaign featuring, I'm not sure which particular model. It had Hardik Pandya in the front. There are two women standing on the sides, and most people completely missed them. They were actually Indian cricketers, women cricketers. Most people completely missed them. It was Hardik Pandya in the front, sitting from the car. Everybody noticed, hey, Hardik Pandya and an ad. And somebody else pointed out saying, dude, there are two cricketers standing right next to him. There are two Indian women cricketers. To Lloyd's point, not enough at all. We could do a lot more and a lot better, I guess.
If I can just add a small build to that, Karthik, there's a very popular little meme that a lot of corporate trainers do. They show a picture of this 8-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl in a beach, a normal family picture, and says, identify the cricketer. 10 times out of 10 people say, oh, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and whatever.
Yes.
It's actually a picture of Mithali Raj and her elder brother.
Wow.
And people just don't think cricketer, male.
Cricketer means man.
So
Correct.
it's 100% association. Everyone misses the fact it's a Mithali Raj picture with her elder brother. She's about 5 and the elder brother's 8. But yeah, exactly what you said. Gender stereotyping.
Fantastic. That Mithali Raj meme is something that's become very popular and sort of a case study of its own. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next question quickly. Right? Okay. This question is Karthik. Here we go. What is the popular name of the Pambar Falls in Kodaikanal, which is named after a brand or a brand ad? So this Pambar Falls is actually now called something else. So for example, if it was Pepsi, it would be called Pepsi Falls. So which brand is it named after now?
Yeah, I'm just guessing it should be Liril because Liril is most popular for waterfalls, I guess.
Simple, easy enough, right? So it is called the Liril Falls. So tourist guides actually take you there saying, hey, you want to see the Liril Falls? And this is where the original Liril ad was shot. Would anyone like to take a guess who that lady was? The first Liril girl ever?
Karen Lunel.
Absolutely right. Lloyd, once again with the fun facts there. Karen Lewin was the first one. Does anyone recollect any other famous actresses who started off as Liril girls? Bollywood actresses today. As far as my knowledge goes, there are 3. So one of them...
Deepika Padukone.
Deepika is definitely right.
Should be one.
Deepika was
I think
one.
Preeti Zinta was one. Preeti Zinta was 2. Who else? There's one more I remember.
Yeah. There's also Pooja Batra.
I like that Karthik keeps a good watch in advertising, specifically with starlets in a waterfall. I'll keep that in mind, Karthik.
It's a soap, Lloyd. It's a soap that matters.
So that's so true. So Deepika Padukone started her career as being one of the Liril girls. Preeti Zinta was
Pooja
famously
Batra.
one of and Pooja Batra as well. And this again was another campaign created by Alik Padamse. So just one more sort of hat tip to him. Moving on next to Sanket. Right? So this is a lady from Russia whose name is Anya Major. How do we better know her? She's a discus thrower. That's the reason why she was chosen as a model in this ad, because she was very good at throwing discuses. So just tell me, how do we better know her? Take a guess.
Is this the Apple 1984 ad?
Absolutely right. 10 points to you. This is the lady who throws the hammer in the famous 1984 Apple ad. Let's take a look.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We created for the first time in all history a garden of pure ideology where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of any contradictory thoughts. Purification of thoughts is
Classic. Any fun facts, anything, any interesting stories that you may have of this ad, or if it's influenced you in any way?
I think it's influenced a whole generation, but to my mind, it was aired only once.
Wow. Is it? Amazing. I have a personal trivia, and Lloyd mentioning virality makes perfect sense for this. back when Fruity launched the Digen Verma campaign, which was in many
Early
years
2000s,
ago, of course.
yeah.
Digen Verma. Yeah, early 2000 Digen Verma. It was quite viral at that time. I mean, when I say viral, without the social media viral, everybody was asking who the hell is Digen Verma, because there was no clue given by Everest agency at all. Completely no clue. It was just Digen everywhere. And one of my cousins who was with Fulcrum at that point, he actually, I mean, I asked him saying, since you are an ad agency, please tell me what is this Digen. He said, this is Apple launching in India. It's actually called Digital Generation. He just threw something random at me just to fool me. And I actually wrote an email, and email was very viral at the time. We used to email a lot of people with a big list, and I sent an email. That email came back to me 10 days later saying, do you know what Digen Verma means? It means Apple's new campaign called Digital Generation. So I was so happy saying, wow, something that I sent came back to me from somebody else. I don't know at all. And then next day I see it's for Fruity. And then of course, Times of India hijacked that campaign very briefly, just for one day before Fruity's launch. But that was a personal anecdote there.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I just remembered how email forwards were the real OG virality of sorts, right?
They were viral back then.
If I could button with just one more point back to
Please.
the ad, I think one was that whole 1984, which is obviously an allegory to George Orwell's 1984 and Big Brother, which is fine. And therefore this ad got aired once. But for a lot of people, when you talk about an Apple original or classic, it's the ad, the crazy ones. The one that features Einstein, Gandhi, and the whole lot of them. And for a lot of people, that resembles the iconic Apple ad. That was much later, of course. But it's very inspiring, and loads of companies use it as a motivational video to the crazy ones. Yeah, so Apple really has set some benchmarks in terms of advertising that stays forever.
Also, email is probably not the OG viral in India. The OG viral in India, which is truly word of mouth without mainstream media push, was Lord Ganesh drinking milk. Lord Ganesh, Murthy drinking milk.
Yes.
There was no mainstream media push. Nobody was talking about it. Just people talking about themselves and everybody trying it in their own homes. That was incredibly viral back in one point, actually, in time.
Sanket, have you heard of that incident? Was he before his time, I suspect?
Kinda before my time.
That was big. Just to tell you, I think what Karthik is saying, I think sometime in the 80s and all, I mean, everyone tried it. You just keep a little katori of, and it's like inexplicable.
It was
Yes, well
amazing.
said.
Yeah, amazing actually. That's viral.
Man. Nice.
Cool. Let's move on to the last round of today's quiz. I think we're doing fantastic with all the interesting answers and others. This is something a little bit more recent. So we're going to start now with Karthik on this one. Yeah, this is on recent history. Campaigns, brands from last few years. All right. If these are the winning answers, then what is the question? So theory 1, the man watched Inception and is now dreaming about Earth in 2047. Theory 2 is because the brand paid the man 1 lakh. These are the winning answers. What is the question? So the campaign, the name of this campaign was actually a question where they tried to crowdsource many things and people sent in, and these were the 2 winning entries. One entry was that the man was watching Inception and is now dreaming about Earth in 2047. Which is why it looks futuristic.
Swiggy campaign in Moon or something like that, or Moon or Mars or something like that one, right? The Swiggy one.
Close. I just wanted to tell me, what do you think the campaign was about? What do you think the question that they asked? Do you remember that?
I don't remember the question.
It doesn't matter. I'll give you 10 points. Absolutely. This is the Swiggy campaign from the last 1 year. Does anyone have any fun facts about this campaign?
Okay, so the campaign's called Why Is This a Swiggy Ad? Completely birthed and conceptualized at Talented. I think we were working with Swiggy almost for 5 years through our ex-agency Web Chutney, and I think we had reached a point in our relationship where we were like, we have done almost every sort of campaign out there, right? Like, I think what is the next step? Where do we go from here, right? And I think we ended up seeing a lot of people talking about us. Like, let's say people are saying stuff like opening the fridge and looking for food is the new opening the Swiggy app and checking for food, right? Like, and I think Karthik had also done one episode on his podcast around Gulab Jamun Uncle going place.
Oh, that was truly iconic. That man.
Yeah, I think the the funny thing was at Talented, we definitely look a lot at what Karthik has to say overall, okay? And like just
So many brands.
when we were right, like I think it's a thing now amongst Indian advertising agencies. So I think when we pitched the idea and our client liked it, and at the same time Karthik dropped an episode on Gulab Jamun Uncle going places, we were just like, okay, cool, you know what, we are, I think, heading in the right direction. So it was like a good dipstick survey for us. However, like I think what we try to go for here, right? Like I think traditional advertising usually ends up telling you why you should buy this product. So I think we turned the premise a little bit to the opposite, right? Like we asked the consumer why they felt it was a Swiggy ad, and I think it spoke a lot to the tune of, like, you know, about each consumer's experience and memory that they share with brand Swiggy. So every response ended up turning into a theory or a shared experience they had with the brand. So I think that way, I'm very thankful to the clients that they took a punt on it, and thankful to Can for rewarding it this year. Yeah.
Amazing
Fabulous.
work. Yeah.
Couple of just a quick thoughts. I mean, you know, I think really great campaign. I didn't know who involved. Directly behind it, Sanket and Karthik, that you the inspiration. I think that good Gulab Jamun Uncle is truly iconic, also because of that lovely, you know, the commentary, the Harsha Bogle's little comment in the background, and that raises it.
Yeah.
I mean, such a lovely cinematic technique. So full marks. Quick question, Sanket: are you guys also responsible for the famous delivery boy name one, which I think is
No, I think Lintas did the original Gulab Jamun Uncle ads. Yeah. I think we.
No, this delivery boy, which is Arey Tumhara naam kya hai, Swiggy? The delivery boy who's called Swiggy by everyone.
Correct. That was the in-house creative team. That's creative director Shikha Gupta. Yeah.
Yes.
She's currently at Blitz Club. Yeah.
Very nice. And that's another campaign. And, you know, strangely, I've seen it get used in very funny illustrations for corporate responsibility. You know, how building employee pride is important. Because frankly, all these delivery boys I live in Gurgaon, the condo, they're called Zomato, Swiggy. You know, people call them by the brand, right? Because the branding is so overpowering. And no one really bothers, though the app tells you that the name of the guy is.
So I must chip in that this is one of the most innovative campaigns we've seen in the last decade. I remember I was in Dunzo and we spent an hour discussing, saying, why is Swiggy doing this? Like, what does this mean? What are they like? We're trying to analyze this, right? And this is even after another great campaign that Talented created called The Voice of Hunger. Sanket, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Web chutney.
Web chutney. Yeah. But you were part of the same team that was responsible for that campaign at Web chutney.
I think with that one, I think we were at the peak of how can we exploit social media features more and more. I think we were seeing a lot of that work happening in the West, but we were also like, hey, you know what's something that we can do here? And luckily for us, like Instagram just happened to launch a new feature, which was the Instagram voice notes. And you know, right, like we have been used to print, we have been used to TVCs, and that's how we have consumed advertising. But what about the weird stuff, right? Like what about, like, let's say a lot of us like end up playing the number plate game, right? Like let's say we see a number plate and we start adding numbers, and there are weird quirks that are there for all of us. So you're like, hey, you know what, this voice note looks like a shawarma, this voice note looks like a kebab. So, you know, hey, let's try and tap into whether people can be weird around it on the internet, and just happen to get a great response from the Indian internet, I suppose. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Lovely work. I think you've worked also, like I mentioned earlier, you worked at two, firms which have had so much acclaim, and, really, I think Indians should be proud of the kind of work that Web Chutney and Talented have done. And going back to this campaign, right, like just putting it on the screen.
And truly digitally first, if I may say so.
Absolutely.
Truly digitally first, like I always say, when the prima donnas come from a genre, it makes it different. It's, Piyush and Prasoon are great in what they do, but they're still 30-second gurus.
Yes.
So,
And even the voice of hunger, right? Please go ahead, Karthik.
No, the thing is that if you think of truly digital first, social media first brands, 3 brands come to my mind, top of mind, and most people, that's what Swiggy, Zomato, and Dunzo. Apart from that, you don't think of any other brand. I mean, it's not because the thing is that they're not trying. They are trying, but they're not trying consistently. Zomato, Swiggy, and Dunzo have been consistently at it week after week, fortnight after fortnight, month after month. They think this is the audience. We need to keep them warm by keep on saying something interesting, whether it's self-referential or about food or about the agency or about the industry, whatever it is. It's the consistency that's missing. For instance, Cred was riding that way, but it was TV. It was not digital first. It was TV, it was cricket, etc. But the consistency is completely gone. Of course, they still need money to be consistent. That's a different issue. But these three brands come top of mind. I ask anybody digital first brands, they name only these three brands. There is nothing else for such a large country with so many startups and so many brands.
Very true.
Great point.
I think I have to agree with Sanket that there are many people in the advertising and communication brand world who wake up thinking that is Karthik going to tweet about my work today? Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. Sanket would back me on this. But I had an art director who would actually feel depressed. You know, oh my God, Karthik, Beast of All has not tweeted about us today. Why? He's tweeted about us today. He would be so excited. So yeah.
I would be remiss.
Let me give you the other side to this.
Please.
Let me give you the other side.
Yeah.
Let me give you the other side. There are CMOs who wake up with a nightmare saying, Will Karthik highlight my brand today and pick out an issue? I meet a bunch of them and they say, oh my God.
But props to you guys. To be very frank, okay, I'll be very honest because I'd be very remiss if I don't bring this up. So I think lovingly there are the four horsemen of LinkedIn: Karthik Srinivasan, Nikhil Narayanan, and Devar Mukherjee. I think if you get a shout out from any of these, I think it will make your day. But I think props to you guys for keeping Indian advertising at the forefront.
Absolutely.
Because I think it exposes us to things that we miss from other agencies when there is such a big content overload, right? So props to you guys for staying on top of things all the time. Yeah,
very true, Karthik. Thank you so much. You really helped raise the bar for many of us. All right, let's move on to the next one. This question goes to Sanket, right? All right. Okay. This is a company or a startup based out of Bangalore called Rephrase.ai. They help create more than 500 plus videos for which famous campaign? Those are the founders? Yes.
I want to give so many funny answers, but
let's hear one funny answer.
But I think Rephrase just changed the game in India, right? Completely came out of nowhere, and I think Ogilvy also established itself just even more of how much digital capability it has, right? Shah Rukh Khan, Cadbury Shah Rukh Khan ad, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it won the Creative Effectiveness Cannes this year as well in its third year. Yeah, so props to them. Yeah.
Absolutely right. 10 points to Sanket on this one. This is not just a Cadbury ad, which they did with Shah Rukh Khan, where they sort of customized the ads for different merchants all across the country. Lloyd, Karthik, any interesting tidbits about this campaign?
No, I think hugely successful. It did what most advertisers dream for, which is having your sales team saying, my God, this ad works because every one of my dealers is jumping off the cliff. And that's one. The other, which I saw very recently, less than a month ago, not Rephrase, but another company, I shan't name, but it's becoming quite a trend. Today, a lot of, on digital front, a lot of advertisers want ads personalized to the individual, right? So when I pop in, there's a Hyundai ad where Anushka or whatever, I know of this one with Mumbai Indians, where actually Rohit Sharma says, hi Lloyd, thanks for being a Mumbai Indians fan, blah, blah, blah. So it's customized to the individual and it's done at scale, right? So therefore you're talking about, let's say, 1 million personalizations, really using AI. So it's the same shot of Alia Bhatt, it's the same shot of Rohit Sharma, but it's customized to the individual. And I think, we're going through the novelty phase, but I believe everything in technology goes through a plateau. 2 years from now, we'll get tired of it. Right now, it's great fun.
Yeah.
I do have a counterpoint on the Shah Rukh Khan ad, both the Diwali version and the recent one, which is not my Shah Rukh Khan ad. I actually see them as the advertising or the TV advertising or the video advertising version of a dealer panel in a print ad. Usually when there is a brand which releases a multi-zone ad, the last thing to change, which is always the dealer panel, which keeps changing based on which city it is or which state it is, kind of stuff. This is literally the version of it. So I have my reservations on the effectiveness of that. For instance, if you have seen one Shah Rukh Khan ad where he's talking about I am Shah Rukh Khan, this is Diwali, blah blah, etc. Towards the end, they insert Shah Rukh Khan talking about saying, buy this chocolate from Rupa, Rupa store Chinchpokli, whatever it is. He just says that. Now, for instance, the store owner could make his own customized version of the ad, whether it comes in the beginning or the last, it doesn't matter. But when he shares it with people, when he or she shares it with his people, if they've already exposed to the original version of the ad on TV, on social media, because everybody is sharing it, the chances of them waiting till the Rupa stores comes in the end and performing the call to action to go to Rupa seems very, very, very minuscule to me, because they already seen the ad. The main template is familiar because everybody is sharing it left, right, and center. Just because you add your local store name doesn't mean it's a compelling call to action. I believe it's a nice novelty, as Lloyd said. Everybody's trying something, but I don't think it's truly effective for the shopkeeper level. It's great effective at an awards level at this point because it's very new. But at the shopkeeper level, I don't think it's effective. Though probably Cadbury's can probably dispute that with numbers.
Just to debate that, and I'm conscious of time, Sai, we might be pushing.
Sure.
But Karthik, so this firm called Gang AI does exactly that. It just that customizes, right? And I'm not talking about the positioning of beginning or end, but it will start by saying, "Hi Karthik, here's something interesting in Indiranagar." So it has two variables. It has your name, it has your gender, and it has the location. Let's say you're in Indiranagar. It says, "Hi Karthik, catch you at CCD Indiranagar, blah blah blah." So they give that level of customization. Obviously, that's delivered digitally. But even if you're on OTT and you're signed in on your own account, you get there. I'm using it for a couple of firms I've invested in. But very interesting. So therefore you can get that variable personalization at the beginning half, addressed to the individual with the geographical coordinate overlay, right? So AI can be talking to us in manners better than our spouses.
Fascinating. Really fascinating what's happening in technology here. Cool. Let's move on to the last couple of questions. We're doing very well on time. Here we have the next question. To Lloyd, here we go. Right, so this is another very popular award-winning campaign of Lifebuoy, where they printed the message on parathas. It says, "Lifebuoy se haath dhoya kya?" Right? For which event did Lifebuoy come up with this campaign?
The Kumbh Mela.
The Kumbh Mela is absolutely
Mahakumbh.
right. So, yeah, the Mahakumbh Mela is absolutely right. They basically distributed these rotis at the Kumbh Mela. In fact, Lifebuoy has actually done quite a lot of interesting work that has received acclaim globally as well. Does anyone recall any of those? Or any of Lifebuoy's campaigns?
H for hand washing, I think a few years ago, ended up winning. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of those case studies more successful than the ad. Kind of.
We know those guys, don't we?
In fact, I remember something like Savlon's campaign where they did soap chalk piece actually, which was very, very unique actually. But of course, that's the opposite.
I think it was this year, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So this year, I think it was this year. So that was very, very unique. As unique as what like Lifebuoy has done with the rotis, which is a very innovative medium to talk to people. Fantastic.
I think it has become like agency lingo at Talented, where we are just like, whenever we are trying to find an idea like this, we're just like, we need our roti, yaar. We need our roti.
Oh, really?
And that's how like it's become like this North Star expectation of, like complete fit, Yeah.
Oh,
my two bit on that is that, my takeaway from this one is, case studies more successful than the ad. Sanket, that's lovely. I remember that. And to Karthik's point earlier about audio jingles, for me, Lifebuoy is still reminiscent of the famous jingle, "Tandurusti ki raksha karta hai Lifebuoy." Lifebuoy hai jahan, tandurusti hai wahan. Right? For a whole generation, that was Lifebuoy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very true. All right, and here we are at the final question of today's quiz. Before that, would once again thank you so much, Sanket, Karthik, Lloyd. You not just took out time for this quiz, but also came with so many interesting stories, anecdotes, trivia. It's really fantastic to have this session with you. I wish we could do this a little longer, but hopefully maybe sometime in the future as well. But thank you so much, folks, for doing this. and we are here at the last question of today's quiz. Slightly interesting, might be controversial, but we'll keep our answers politically correct. All right. Which entity created a parody campaign recently directly inspired by Paytm? So you can see it says Paytm, 40% accepted here. It has a number, QR code, all of that. Using a well-known face in the QR code. Just tell me which entity was behind this campaign. This question is to
Indian
Sanket.
National Congress.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It is yours, actually. Yes. Karthik,
Indian
you're
National Congress, of course, in Karnataka
Indian.
elections. Of
That's
course.
absolutely. And whose face? do we
Ironically,
see?
ironically, the vote that I put still has that mark. It still hasn't gone, actually, ironically. That's, of course, Bommai, the ex-CM of Karnataka.
Yes, that's absolutely right. That is former Chief Minister Bommai, whose face was on the QR code. And this was the Indian National Congress that used this in the Karnataka elections, where they actually had Bommai's face as part of the QR code. And to be very honest, I also thought there was an interesting case of plagiarism where they pretty much made it look like a Paytm ad, like inch by inch, it looks just like a Paytm ad.
It was probably intentional, I think. It was intentional. To make it as non-political, as non-party aligned as possible, to make it seem neutral, but it's not neutral at all. It has a very specific agenda towards it. But I think they followed it up. I think BJP followed it with the PhonePe or something like that. And PhonePe also said that we will sue you, don't do this kind of stuff. And then it stopped, thankfully, after that.
Yes,
But that second picture you had there was interesting. One can't figure out whether the policeman is placing the poster or taking it off. We can keep that for offline conversations. Karthik may have a strong point of view, but we'll keep that for later.
Of course, that's only for Twitter, not
I
between
think
friends.
one of the very rare moments where like politics makes you smile, right? Like just
Yeah.
like behind all the like the mudslinging that keeps going on, this was still like a very acceptable chalak way of doing things.
Yeah.
absolutely.
True.
Any ads from political parties or political entities that you've seen that have caught your attention?
I mean, Abki Baar was, you couldn't escape it, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
like a phenomenon. Like, if they had put it for Khan, I'm sure they would have won a Grand Prix easily. Like, because I could not escape that ad. Even when I was playing Subway Surfer, I would see Abki Baar Modi Sarkar. So, like, it was
Yeah, of course.
quite everywhere. Yeah.
Who was behind
Yeah,
the
but
campaign? Yeah, please.
I don't know who's behind Abki Baar, but actually very, very good point, Sanket, and linking up to our whole quiz team. So one of the challenges when Pepsi began advertising in India was how do you create a campaign that passes off into public lingo? Ye dil mange more, right? As Captain Vikrant Batra. Ye right choice baby, right? Mera number aayega. So the idea was to let it pass on. I think today politics is doing that in reverse. Like I said, I know of a few startups that are very deliberately using, whenever they've got a mega blockbuster campaign, they said, ye double engine wala campaign, right? Fully playing on the, the political relevance of these words,
Yes.
right? So a lot of, anything that transcends pop culture, either politics to advertising to politics, tends to magnify much more. Because Pepsi's driving philosophy. And I'm so glad that today a lot of brands are actually pursuing it pretty aggressively. Right? I mean, I've seen a lot of campaigns using double engine and words that are very, very typically get popular thanks to political culture.
Incidentally, the Zomato campaign,
Yes.
it seems completely frivolous, but I actually noticed so many people asking that question right from 2018 onwards, saying, is it Zomato or Zomato? So it looks like they have actually noticed people asking these questions both online and offline, and that became the insight, saying if so many people are asking, why are we not asking the question to our audience? And then it became a campaign by itself. But when you see it, it looks completely preposterous. What the hell are they talking about? But you need to know that there are people asking that question already. So that came first, and the ad didn't came first actually.
Yeah.
And I think, to get to with that, I think the other little trend is also billboards talking to each other. So brands taking pot shots within a geographical space, right? We all saw that Blinkit, Zomato.
Zomato Blinkit.
Right? Another interesting trend to watch out for. Maybe just for size Mill for his next session.
Definitely, Lloyd, definitely. Just to answer my own question that I asked earlier about who wrote the Abki Baar campaign, it was actually like what I call as the Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo of Indian advertising. Piyush Pandey and Prasun Joshi, who came together to work on the BJP campaign. So they actually came up with Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar. All right, I think that's an appropriate end to our session today. Once again, thank you so much, Karthik, Sanket, and Lloyd. It's been a fantastic quiz. Sudha, do we have the scores just to know who can have the bragging rights?
Yes. Hi. So this was such a wonderful session to be a part of. So thank you everyone for being here. And okay, so this is super interesting because we have Lloyd and Karthik at a tie with 30 points. Yeah, so special mention to Lloyd for some amazing, interesting facts, and Karthik for having the most entertaining answers. Yeah, and being entertaining in general. And of course, we have the first winner in the first place is Sanket with 40 points. So kudos to you. Yeah, great job,
Congrats,
everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
I think Indian advertising needed a quiz to I think reminisce and soak in the nostalgia. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Sanket.
Yeah,
Thank
wonderful
you so much.
quiz. Thank you, Sai. Thanks, Sudha. That was lovely. And Sanket, fabulous stuff. And so Karthik, as always, such a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful being here.
How
on
did
a
you all
very
enjoy the
good
quiz?
Saturday evening?
Karthik,
Yeah.
yes.